So
Yeah.
I think a lot of the healing part of it is the brain piece of it. So can you talk a little bit maybe how that education piece ties into how you teach today?
Yeah. Yeah. So my master's degree is in cultural psychology. And really, it's about how does our individual brain and body interact with
Hello, Empower Nation. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast. I'm your host, Angela Duncan, speaker, best-selling author, serial entrepreneur. We talk all things money and business. Today's episode, I get to interview Emily Otto. She is a business and lifestyle coach for healers, witches, and priestesses. Her background in psychology, we're going to talk about how she helps her clients heal, how to get around the trauma of money, some tips and tools that you're going to want to be able to implement in your business today, and so much more. Check out this episode. Hi, Emily. Welcome to Empower Her Money podcast.
Hi, thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Yeah, before we get started into what you're doing today, let's talk about kind of how you got started and your journey to today.
Absolutely. Let's see. So I was in corporate America for about 15 years, hated most of it, hated the idea that I got into work when it was dark. I left work when it was dark. Um, and being tied to the idea of my finances and money were limited to whatever it was that I was making in a salary. And then when my son Cedar was born and had multiple open heart surgeries, it made me realize that I didn't want to spend another minute doing things that I hated.
Mm-hmm.
So I started my own business, and I started by helping people quit their day job and start their own business. And soon I realized I really loved working with women, and I loved helping women find their way to creating their own business to have the freedom and money and financial freedom and impact that they wanted. And so that's what I do now.
Yeah, and I love the story too, because oftentimes when we start a business, it's because we went through something. So you're empathetic and understanding to your clientele because you were there. So thank you for sharing that. So
Absolutely.
today, healing coach, what does that mean exactly? Help our audience understand what you do.
Yeah, so I help healers, witches, and priestesses to create and scale a successful business. A lot of folks that do energy healing, tarot card readings, intimacy coaches, relationship coaches, they start by charging hourly. And if you're charging for your time, it's never going to lead to a six-figure business. And so I really help them craft different packages and programs and stand in their leadership and power and then show up online. How do they write content? How do they get in front of other people's audiences? What does heart-centered marketing and sales look like so that they can make the money they've been craving?
Gotcha. Now you said one of my favorite words, but I know it means something different to everybody, but what's a heart-centered? What does that mean? And how do people
Hmm.
kind of tap into that when it comes to their business?
Yeah, I really think it starts with the antithesis to heart centered. There's so much gross marketing, and a lot of women really want nothing to do with that. And so there can be this fear around marketing at all or putting ourselves out there because, well, we have to do it that way and it's got to be gross. So to me, heart centered marketing is the antidote to all of that, where it's full of joy, it's full of love, it's authentic, it's real. We get to stand behind the value of our services and our offers and what we're doing.
Good. Yes. So we are on a podcast about money, and I know that
Mhm.
oftentimes there needs to be some healing around money, especially as we grow our business, or perhaps we're limiting ourselves. So what does that look
Mm.
like for you?
For me personally or for my clients?
Both.
Sure. Oh my gosh. So when I first started the idea of I'm going to quit my job and start my own business, I had another little tag attached to it, which said, well, I'm going to be a broke healer and I'm going to make like 40 grand a year, but at least I'll be happy. And it took me a lot of personal work and a lot of coaching to be able to shake that mindset of the broke healer archetype of, well, I'm going to do what I love, but I'm going to stay broke. And gratefully, I had mentors who made more money and could show me the way of, no, you get to make money and help people. It's not one or the other. And so that's a lot of the work I help my clients with of you get to create offers and programs and packages that let you pay your mortgage, let you travel the world, enjoy your life and freedom, and help other people. It's not one or the other.
Yeah. Do you find that often too? Because I've seen that with other business owners as well. Like they
Yeah.
want to make more money, but there's something that's holding them back and they don't know what it is, but you can see that.
I can. It usually comes up in the articulation they have around sales and marketing of, oh, I don't want to sell like that, or oh, I can't do that. That feels gross. And it's like, okay, but how do you create a methodology, a marketing, a sacred sale that feels good and is authentic?
Great. So let's talk practicality. What are some maybe one or two tips that you can tell the audience to help them? You know, if they're a female entrepreneur, perhaps they have some um, limiting beliefs or growth, ceilings that they're dealing with. What are some ways for them to either recognize that or kind of move through that as well?
Great question. So I think the number one exercise that I would recommend is to do a fear inventory. Go for 25 to 50 limiting beliefs you have about money.
Mm.
Things will come up like, my dad always said, well, money doesn't grow on trees. Well, that's a limiting belief about money. Or, what is it? There's a lot of beliefs around things being free, being negative. And so just doing a huge inventory, try to get everything out, let it take multiple days, 25 to 50 of these, and then reframe each limiting belief into what you would like to believe
Mm.
about the world. Like, yeah, money is abundant. Money comes from lots of different sources. Maybe it doesn't grow on trees, but it is made out of trees. So that's one practice. And I actually try to do that exercise every 6 to 12 months because new limiting beliefs will pop up the more and more money you make in your business.
Mhm.
There's like a new set that comes in that keeps you from the next level.
I like that too, because, we may think that we dealt with something, but as we continue
Mm.
on our journey and we start making more money, we have more success, and then we're like, okay, why did it stop? It's because you've reached perhaps another fear or limiting belief that you need to get through.
I love that point. Yeah, healing is a spiral staircase upward. It's not,
Mhm.
oh, I've resolved that and now I'm great.
Yeah, if that was the case, for me, I know myself, I have enough kind of back end trauma that for the rest of my life, I'm going to be healing, and I accept that.
Mm.
And I know that about
Mhm.
myself. So when something is keeping me from that next step, then I look internally and say, okay, what is the belief now that I need to get through? So that's a really good point
Mm.
that you brought out too. You did
Thank you.
mention one of my other favorite words is freebie. So I would love to
Mm.
know. I don't think freebies are bad. In fact, if someone's offering it, there's some type of value. They put their time and energy into it. I know that you have a freebie. So why don't you tell our audience about it?
I do. And thank you. I completely agree with you. I love freebies that are a one to many. So webinars, downloadable PDFs, whatever it is, it gives our audience a sample of what it could be like to work with us. So I do have a freebie for our audience today. It's called Multi-Orgasmic Money, and it's all about how to access more money and more pleasure at greater and greater levels. The title was super fun. It came through as a divine download, and it's a series of 3 modules in video format. There's worksheets, and I loved creating it and having it available for people.
Yeah, and I like the acronym. It's MOM too. So it kind of resonated with me with the acronym.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. That's fantastic.
So, different people hear things differently, right? So I thought that was
Mhm.
very interesting too. So one of the things that we kind of talked about before offline was kind of because you have your MA in psychology. So
Yeah.
I think a lot of the healing part of it is the brain piece of it. So can you talk a little bit maybe how that education piece ties into how you teach today?
Yeah. So my master's degree is in cultural psychology. And really, it's about how does our individual brain and body interact within the greater system of
Mhm.
culture. And so a lot of what I help my clients with is kind of rewiring their brains and their bodies so that they can be a healer that makes a lot of money from their own unique online and in-person business. So it really impacts my framework and how I take people through. Because if we don't start to rewire our patterns, our thoughts, our limiting beliefs, we can't make the money or the sales. Things will hold us back. As you mentioned, they'll be hard to identify because we could do the thing all day long, but it's not going to work if we don't believe in it.
Very nice. And one other, I think, limiting belief, especially with myself, is we're always trying to find balance. Now, for me, I don't like the word balance because it really doesn't mean the same thing for everybody, right?
Yeah.
You're a mom, you're a business owner, you're a wife. So when people start to say, I need to find balance, how do you kind of dive into that, being where you're at and how you obviously, have your life set up? What do you kind of tell clients or people that might feel like I'm out of balance or I need balance? What do you say?
That's a great question. I think balance is a bit of a lie. It
Mhm.
kind of ties into mom guilt, right? Of, well, I'm not with my kids and I feel guilty. Well, I'm not working in my business, I feel guilty. I've been practicing yoga for over 12 years now. And so a lot of the balance comes from being present with where you are when you are. So if I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. My cell phone is plugged in somewhere. I'm hanging out with them. I'm giving them as much attention as I can. Same with my business. If I'm in my business and with my clients, I'm doing that. And so I think balance is a bit of a lie. It's not possible, but what is possible is being present where we are when we are. So if we're working, being in that moment, if we're with our family, if we're with ourselves, being in those moments. And I build in a lot of rituals around that of my door is closed in my office because there's a ritual of, okay, I'm done for the day. I'm going to have a dance party. I'm going to open the door, walk back into my home with my family and making intentional space for all of that.
Yes, I love that too, because that's more of a, we can think things all day long, but when you move or create action, it creates a whole different feeling within your body. So I have some things that I do personally for myself where if I'm not feeling great or if I feel like I've had a bad day or something didn't go my way, right? I have to physically do something different so that my
Hmm.
mindset will have that shift too. So I think that, that's pretty cool. So for the audience listening, if you do work at home and you do have that family life in a separate office, opening that door and having some type of physical motion to say, all right, I'm done working and now I'm back with my family. That's such a great practice and a good tool that people can implement.
Thank you. It served me really well.
Yeah. You also have a podcast too, right?
I do.
What
It's
made you
called the
decide
Emily.
to,
Yeah.
what made you decide? Yeah, talk about it. What made you decide to start?
It's called the Emily Otto Show. And what made me decide to start it is that I really wanted a platform where I could say what I wanted to and how I wanted to. Um, a lot of my work is pretty rebellious. I'm telling people to quit their jobs and start a business, usually with like strange healing arts work, astrology, energy healing. And so a lot of what I say on Facebook or Instagram, the algorithm tanks it if I use any of those kinds of words. So I really wanted a platform where I could speak to people directly and have something I know whenever I get into somebody's realm and sphere, and I just want to listen to everything they've ever said or done. And so I wanted an easy way for people to just go episode to episode and get tidbits, tools, tips, and feel like they got a sense of me and my work before choosing to invest further.
Like it too. Yeah. Yes, and it's
Thanks.
another way to reach people, right? Not everyone
Yeah.
might not be on YouTube. Maybe some people only listen to podcasts. Myself,
Mhm.
don't watch TV, so a lot of the information I get is
Mm,
from podcasts. So
cool.
just utilizing different platforms to reach more people.
That's great. Yeah, I love podcasting. It's really fun.
Yeah. So any final tips, advice, words of wisdom that you'd like to share with the audience?
Mm. I think the biggest thing for women in business or women who are making more money and of the world is to remember that we don't have to do it all alone, that we're here together, that we get to listen to podcasts like yours, podcasts like mine, and it's not just us against the world, but it's all of us together.
Yeah, that's great advice. And remind our audience again where to grab that freebie.
Oh, sure. You can grab that freebie on my website. It's emily-otto.com.
Awesome. Emily, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to Empower Her Money podcast. I am grateful for you. Please make sure to leave us a 5-star review, like this podcast, share it, subscribe, and let's keep teaching others how to take control and be empowered with their finances.